What's going on, race fans? I'm Anthony Damcott. He's Trenton Worsham, and we are standing in victory lane, right where Connor Zilisch was just a few hours ago, winning his 10th race of the NASCAR Xfinity Series season here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway ROVAL. There was a lot that happened in this race. Round of 8 cutoff, obviously. Let's talk about Connor Zilisch, because much like Corey Heim, he has had a dominant season this year. And obviously, being in a road course, you'd expect nothing less for him to go to victory lane, but 10 wins on the year, this feels like it's his championship to lose.
It really is. I mean, nothing's guaranteed when we get to Phoenix, and he was kind of hesitant to say that in his press conference. He's saying, like, someone asked him, is this a satisfying season if you don't win the championship? He's like, yeah, but I don't want to think about that, pretty much. And so, because anything can happen, even with Heim, who's been dominant, and then with, Connor Zilisch, who's been dominant. I guess it seems like Justin Allgaier's been playing bridesmaids in the JRM camp, so maybe if he were to win the title a second time, you can't say it's not deserved because he's been there too, but Connor Zilisch has been dominant. So if he doesn't win Phoenix, it's a tragedy. But something standing in his ways is 3 other teammates, because half of the round of 8 are JRM cars.
That is correct.
He has to go through them all. And so Sammy Smith made it in by 1 point. We had to wait about 30 minutes after the race between him and Taylor Gray. But before we get to JRM, you did talk to Taylor Gray, and I assume he was not too happy about that.
Taylor Gray said he's going to go home and cry himself to sleep. And honestly, that's the nature of the playoffs, right? He entered the playoffs, or today's race, 16 points above the cut line. He was 5th of the 12 drivers. Sammy Smith was dead last. I think what really hurt Taylor Gray was the stage points. Sammy Smith got, I believe, a combined 16 stage points. Taylor Gray got 0. So that ended up hurting him. And then, of course, the Hail Mary pit call from Sammy Smith's crew chief, Philip Bell, with about, I think it was 4 or 5 laps to go. Sammy Smith had a right front issue, and Philip Bell said, hey, bring him to pit road. And right as that happened, Sage Karam, our king, Sage Karam, brought out the caution with a flat tire, cycled Sammy Smith to the front. Taylor Gray pitted, which he said what he thinks was the right call. When you have a winning crew chief like Jason Ratcliffe, you're not going to question that call. So overall, Taylor Gray finished 13th, Sammy Smith finished 3rd. Obviously, like you said, lengthy review, but Sammy Smith is going to be the 4th JRM driver in the round of 8, obviously joining Allgaier and Zilisch and Carson Kvapil. But that was just one elimination. Taylor Gray, obviously you had Austin Hill, who missed out by 21 points, which, if you're keeping score at home, those 21 points, Austin Hill lost after he was suspended. So there was him, there was Nick Sanchez, who also tried some Hail Mary stuff. And then, of course, Harrison Burton.
Poor Harrison Burton, man.
Yeah, Harrison Burton, man. He didn't even have a shot today.
He got married this past week, but when it comes to, he's winning at life, but when it comes to being a race car driver, this was not a good day for him.
Yeah,
so.
I think the marriage was the highlight of his week, which, regardless of what happened,
yes,
I think it would have been the highlight of his
100%,
week. But, but obviously, I know you talked to Harrison. He had some power issues in the beginning. What happened there?
He said, because his team's not, one of those teams that's guaranteed a spot. He talked about they were an underdog team, and a lot of people had written them off to make the playoffs or even the round of 12. But he said if we would have made the round of 8, that would have been an exclamation point on there. He said there's not anything concrete to say for next year yet, but yeah, for what he did this year and the cards he was dealt, you could say he had a pretty good year, because he did make it this far in the playoffs with that team. But going back to JRM, they all have to beat each other, like we said earlier. And so with that being said, Sammy Smith had to overcome a points issue from, I believe, Martinsville, where he just was a weapon on the track and took out everybody.
Yep.
And so Taylor Gray didn't get any points tonight, but Sammy Smith was crawling out of a hole. Austin Hill was crawling out of a hole, and Sammy Smith came out on top. And Justin Allgaier spoke with him, as the leader of that team and stuff. And they all just have to race aggressive and hard, but be smart. That's the goal, is to get all those cars to Phoenix, which is a realistic possibility to happen when you think about it.
So you're saying not to do what Toyota's done in the Cup Series the past couple weeks?
Yeah, that's what made me ask that question. So I asked Zilisch that in the presser too, and he said the same thing. We know when to go hard and we know when not to. He said they were. Correct me if I'm wrong, you were in there, but I think you were in there when he said it. But he said we were trying to help the number 8, number 1 advance, and I don't know what that looks like, because Zilisch is in a different zip code and Allgaier's up there too.
Right.
So I don't know what orders they had to help the 8 and the 1 to get get to the next round. But yeah, half the next field is JRM, but there's a chance that God bless Connor Zilisch, but there's a chance that Phoenix comes and no JRM cars are in it.
That is also a possibility. And I mean, you mentioned Zilisch talking about, trying to help the 8 and the 1. I mean, he came over the radio and was asking his crew chief, like a fan, what's the playoff situation
he can
looking
be there.
like?
He's a spectator in his own car. He's like 5 seconds ahead.
He had already advanced.
He's in Mooresville already.
Exactly.
He's watching on TV.
Yeah, and then like on the opposite end, you have Sammy Smith barely sneaking in. The reality is, if the debacle at Martinsville doesn't happen between him and Taylor Gray moves on and not Sammy Smith.
Yeah.
If Jesse Love doesn't get disqualified from Rockingham, giving Sammy Smith to win, if he gets to keep the win, then Sammy Smith doesn't move on. So it was a very tight game between those guys. And then, of course, Justin Allgaier.
Every point matters, like they say. Every position matters.
Yep.
But
then, of course, Justin Allgaier playing second fiddle at JRM this year. And then Carson Quapple, who, despite the fact, he's made headlines for going part-time next year, but he's had a very, very quiet and solid season. So look for him. I think he could be a dark horse to make the championship for as well.
Yeah, before we keep these good people watching up too late, we did have some underdog stories. We had Kaz Gralla, Austin Green, and
Connor Mozak.
Connor Mozak.
Yep.
Yeah, I did talk to him. All finished in the top 5. Austin Green finished in second place. No concrete plans for next year. Mm-hmm. But this is his home track, and he mentioned his issues last year that took him out. But, man, if Zilisch wasn't in the playoffs and wasn't respected, I think he probably is more aggressive in that corner.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him about that afterwards. But you did talk to Kaz Gralla also, and, man, I'm sure this is I read his transcript, in your interview for my sidebar, and it said, he wants to hit the podium. But, I mean, it's a good night for him. Yeah,
Kaz Gralla was very, very upbeat. And, honestly, I think – walking up and down pit road, he was one of the few that were. So Kaz Gralla has been such a journeyman driver, and honestly, I think he deserves a full-time shot. I personally feel so. For him to have these runs like this in a part-time Sam Hunt racing car, it only further proves the point that maybe there should be something, for him. There should be something somewhere that someone can pick up Kaz Gralla for a full-time ride. And then, of course, you mentioned Connor Mozak as well. Obviously, he
not back at McAnally.
He's likely looking for a ride next year. He told me yesterday he's probably not going to be returning to McAnally Hilgeman next year. So, running 5th in a one-off race with JRM
qualifying in the top 5. All JRM cars qualify in the top 5, which I believe is the first time that's happened for any organization in any of the top 3 series. So,
that's a huge day for Connor Mozak if he's looking for a ride next year, which I have faith he'll find one too, whether it be full or part-time. I think we'll see him next season. So that's going to wrap it up for tonight. But
one more thing, though. Cutoff race tomorrow.
Yes.
Who do you have out?
We were last thing, who we got eliminated tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, it's the Roval, so it's hard to say, we entered today thinking Taylor Gray was going to be, just needed a decent day and was going to advance, and that didn't happen. So, honestly, I think it's hard to say who I think could sneak through, but I think, a dark horse could be Austin Cindric to make it through to the round of 8. I think he's one that, he does well on road courses. He's raced here before. He knows, the ins and outs of the Roval. I think he's one that you want to watch but obviously, I mean, it's very rare that a non-playoff story will take over in a playoff race, but, man, it's going to be hard to take down SVG.
Reddick did that today on the pole. Reddick will lead the field to green tomorrow alongside SVG. And before we wrap up here, just one of those out there, SVG is playing with his food. We saw Michael McDowell get a big lead, and SVG's like, oh, I'm just saving my stuff,
And Michael McDowell did tell me, he did say earlier today, all streaks come to an end in any dynasty and run. So, I'm not saying that SVG's vulnerable, but everybody's going to be focusing on
and if this was the one road course, I'd predict that he'd not win. Had to be this one because of the type of road course it is. Part oval. It's like a circus. It's literally like advertises as the wild card weekend, and it is. Like, this is a circus of a road course here where there's a lot of gotchas out there, kind of like Mario Kart. This is NASCAR's Mario Kart track, so
yeah.
If we're going for pure road course skills, it's SVG, but I think there's a lot more to this track than just being good at road courses. So
we'll have to find out tomorrow, won't we? That's going to do it for us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight. But hey, Check out Frontstretch Grassroots as well. We just had the ARCA Championship at Toledo. Congrats to Brendan Queen, also known as Butterbean. He is your ARCA Menard Series champion. Mark Crystal and Steve Sonderman had all the action from Toledo today. But we'll be right back here tomorrow with all the coverage from the Round of 8 elimination race for the Cup Series. Trent, where can they find you on the socials?
At @soundlink_Trenton.
Awesome.
Trent, not Trenton.
Trent, okay.
Yeah. And according to our lovely transcripts in Slack, I'm also now a tail evangelist. So I don't have a platform for that though, but.
Well, and then you can find me at Anthony Damcott on X. For Trenton Worsham, I'm Anthony Damcott. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. We'll have all the coverage of the Cup Series race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Frontstretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Frontstretch fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay, stay rewarded.
I'm Caleb Barnes with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.